It's time to get on the road again. I've had a wonderful time in Brussels, and now I'm headed to Lyon in the French Alps, as it's halfway between Brussels and my friend in Narbonne. I had to make a very tough decision before leaving, whether to take my large suitcase with me or not. It served me well getting from Rwanda to the UK, and then to my cousin in The Hague, but I feel it's just too heavy to lug around with me on the next part of my journey. Thankfully, I managed to get everything into my small case, plus a carry bag and rucksack. This seems like a more manageable amount.
Hi guys, so I've just had a really lovely time with Harris and Rob. Harris has just dropped me off at Brussels Midi Station, which you might remember because I passed through here when I first arrived to go and get Eurostar. So I'm back here again. It still looks the same. So I'm heading on the train to Paris at 11:13, and then from Paris I'm going to get another train down to Lyon, where I'm going to stay in an Airbnb for a week, just to relax, see a bit of the city before carrying on to my friend in Narbonne.
It was only after recording that introduction that I realised my trip on Eurostar was 4 weeks ago. 1 whole month. Time really flies when you're having fun. I have to admit, finding the train to Paris was pretty stressful. The information offices aren't that well signposted, and I was given 3 different platforms by 3 different members of staff, and another told me to get on a train that wasn't mine. The more I travel in Europe, the more I despair of technology. It seems like e-tickets and new systems of transport are designed to make life easier for people who already know what they're doing, people who commute every day. But very little thought has been given to making life easier for travellers and tourists. Signage in most of the stations is really minimal, and the number of sudden platform changes and opportunities to get lost seems disproportionately high. There's an over-reliance on phone apps to tell people where to go, when honestly, just a really decent signpost would get the job done faster and with a lot less confusion. I'm constantly in awe of the staff members who find themselves surrounded by a sea of commuters firing questions like which platform to Geneva or what time does the next train to Paris leave? And the staff member shoots back the answer almost immediately like a mentat in June. It's amazing to watch, but surely if you need a human being to deal with so many lost commuters, something's wrong with your system and maybe you need to fix it. Anyway, I eventually did make it to Paris, where I had a minor panic attack when I realised that my train to Lyon was leaving from another station. I ran downstairs to the metro, only to discover a couple of hundred people all queuing at the ticket machines. I thought I wouldn't make my connection in time, and I didn't know what I needed in terms of a ticket. I ran back upstairs and found a really lovely conductor who explained where I needed to go. But now I know why there's so many people queuing. In most countries, you just tap and pay your way through the metro system. But in Paris, you have to tap and pay a ticket machine to get a physical ticket to put into the barrier. Because, yeah, sure, that makes sense. Once again, I made it to my train. But the Paris metro is super stressful if you're just passing through and you have a connection to make. I have to admit, it felt good to see open countryside again. Apparently, there's a specific form of culture shock experienced by Japanese people called Paris syndrome, where their expectation of France's capital is so far from the reality that they literally suffer a breakdown and have to return to Japan. I shouldn't laugh, but it amuses me to think that Hollywood has done such a wonderful job at promoting Paris as a centre of sophistication and beauty, whereas no one has ever arrived in London with the same expectation. Dickens set that record straight long before the silver screen was invented. Once I arrived in Lyon, I had to do battle with another ticket machine. This is what happens when a techie girl with a touchscreen phone encounters manual technology. It's not a touchscreen. Success! I am now ready to take over the world. Thankfully, my host's directions were really clear, and I found the Airbnb quite easily. Don't worry, I'm British, I've got this. Oh, that makes more sense. That's a bit more cosy. And I still have some snacks left from the train. These were absolutely yummy, little fluffy cakes of chocolatey goodness.